So I want to talk about this thing, and I'll explain what it is. But mainly, I want to talk about how it is to build with Waku and Codex, and why we do it, and why I think it's important to think about the technologies and try them out, even if you maybe won't use it in production eventually. So agenda is I want to explain the term Web3. I will explain what is Qaku. We'll explain what is Waku and how I integrate the Codex. You may have seen these logos: Waku logo, Codex logo. Remember them. Find stickers at DevCon and everywhere, and just put them all around. So the way I like to explain term Web3 is it big enough? All right. Okay. So the way I like to explain the term Web3 is that there are 3 pillars. I mean, I know there is 5 here, but AI did not help me much with that. So consensus, which is blockchain, we have many different kinds of blockchain these days. Communication, which in our logo stack is Waku. The idea is it's a general peer-to-peer network where you can push any data around with permissionless participation and not being censorable, and ideally being private. And then storage, which is where we are, Codex, decentralized storage, or basically any other thing that is decentralized storage or pretending to be. These 3 are necessary minimal requirements, minimal pillars to have Web3. And this is how it's been originally explained, the term Web3, by, I think, Gavin Wood in the original white paper, Ethereum. So what is Qaku? Qaku is a DAG with a network inside. Apparently, that's what AI thinks. But Qaku is Q&A platform over Waku. So I initially built this as an experiment because I wanted to understand how to build on top of Waku. And I was looking for something that would actually be useful, potentially, if it works. So I built a simple website which you can create Q&As. You can ask questions. The owner can answer questions. You can upvote the questions. There are polls. You can set multiple admins who can help you with answering or moderation potentially. It started it still kind of is, a fully decentralized, no infra application. What it means is these days, every single project that you use in Web3 usually has infrastructure. And by that, I mean, there is a server somewhere that you are connecting to. There is a database for quick lookups of things. So Qaku does not have an infrastructure, apart from it being hosted, I think, on Vercel right now, so that I can have a DNS pointed to it, but I can also change it to my own server. There is no other infra that Qaku would run. But it still allows you to connect, open the website, connect to the network, and load and ask questions. It is built with JS Waku, so the JavaScript implementation of Waku. And the model it uses for processing the data and working with data and being able to get like new inputs, so questions, and then answer them and upvoting, is something called event sourcing. Basically, if you're familiar with architecture of distributed system, event sourcing means that instead of pushing a whole state of something around, like you have in the database, you push events like changes to the state. And then whoever wants to know the current state of the thing will take all the events and score them down, and you will get to the same state as everyone else. There are a few issues with Qaku, or has been. It's ephemeral. So you create a Q&A, and I'm relying on something called store protocol in Waku, which allows you to query historical messages for a couple hours, in the best case, couple days. And then as the messages leave the Waku network, as they disappear, because Waku is inherently ephemeral, the Q&A is gone. You can't resurrect it, basically. There is no consensus. That's another issue. If you're just posting events and there is no authority to say which events are valid and which are not, you have to kind of reconstruct it locally on the client. But there is no consensus that says if I am what I'm seeing is the truth, or if someone else has more messages, more events, then that's the truth. That's kind of an issue that can be overcome, but I haven't so far. And then the last issue is me, and that's because I'm not a front-end developer. I like to talk, and I talk a lot, as you can see. And I like to build backend systems. So I build a front end, it's ugly and it breaks. But here we are anyway. Now, if you want to, you're going to scan this QR code and it should take you to a Q&A that I've created for this event. There is an issue in Waku that it may not find the peers at the first load. So give it a couple seconds and then reload. And hopefully it will load. If it doesn't load, then I'll just show you what I have in my laptop. But hopefully it's going to work. I'm going to also switch to that Q&A. So this is Qaku. Sorry. Yeah, it's not going to be the same QR code. You still need to scan it. So this is Qaku. There is the duck. The duck is everywhere. So you will see that it's the same thing. Okay. I don't see too many people pointing at the screen of the phones. So this is how it looks like. I am patient. It's, I believe, oh, someone posted a question. That was quick. Hello world. Nice. It works. So this, I am running this on a local Wi-Fi. It's connected to Waku network. You are from your phone connected to a Waku network using light protocols. You're being an edge node, something we call edge node. And you see that Waku works. Extremely surprised right now. I did not expect it. So you can do upvotes. I can do answers. I'm not gonna, but I could. And there is a polls section here. There's a tab, and you can I've created some polls, so you can answer them if you want, just out of curiosity. Yeah. So this is Qaku. I'm gonna go back to the presentation. So what is Waku? Because I mentioned Waku multiple times, and we had Frank here talking about privacy, but I have not explained what it is. So as the second pillar of Web3 is a general communication network. So Waku is a general communication network. It is inherently ephemeral. So you send a message and there is no persistency, no lifetime persistence like in blockchain. Whatever you put onto blockchain, it has to be there forever. Whatever you put into Codex, as long as you pay, it has to be there forever. There's durability. Waku does not have any persistency and any durability because it's permissionless. Anyone can join. We have one thing that is blocking you to use Waku, and that's called RLN, rate limiting modifiers. And just because if you have completely openly generalized peer-to-peer network, someone will come and just spam it and destroy it. So we have rate limiting modifiers, which is zero knowledge based technology that allows us to do rate limiting for users of Waku without revealing their identities. Other than that, it's completely permissionless, and it's edge node friendly. As you could have seen, you loaded it on your phone on a browser, from a website, and it works. Waku is based on peer-to-peer, on GossipSub, where there is something called Relay, where we send a lot of messages and resend a lot of messages. You don't want that on your phone because that will kill your battery and kill your data. So that's why we needed to build specialized protocols for edge node, which are, for example, your phones or my browser here. We do have users. Waku is used, I'm going to say, in production. Defining production is hard, but status is completely built on top of Waku from the perspective of if you publish a message on status or if you change your profile picture on status, it's going to happen over Waku. The communication of all the status instances happens over Waku. We have Railgun, which is a popular privacy tooling for transactions on Ethereum. We have the Graph, which is an indexing service. They have something called GraphCast, where the decentralized network of nodes is communicating and indexing all the events. And they use Waku to kind of avoid having to put everything on chain, as Waku is kind of orthogonal to blockchain, and should be cheaper and easier to use than submitting transactions. And then we have Portrait. I think they are here on DEFCON maybe 2, DEFCON and maybe 2. I'm not sure. They are building a platform where you can kind of create your own portrait, your own profile, and it's stored and distributed in a decentralized way, including Waku, IPFS. I think they are looking into Codex as well. So how did I integrate Codex? So this is how. I think it's obvious, so we don't have to go into details, right? So how is Codex used in Qaku? So Codex is something called altruistic mode. And I know when talking to Codex team that they would rather me not talking about it much because they would rather people paying for storage. But I'm using the altruistic mode because I'm using tiny data. It's kilobytes when I'm pushing into Codex. So I can't pay for terabytes of data. And built something called Qaku Cache. And Qaku Cache is a simple backend service that has Codex node running and that has a Waku node running. And the Waku node listens for some information and then hits the Codex API. And I explained that more. I'm using Codex.js, same as the previous demo. And I'm really happy that they built it because it simplified my life immensely. It's partially centralized but it doesn't have to be, but because there's this component, the Qaku cache, that is hosted by me or by potentially anyone, but it also could be fully decentralized. I built a simple pull proxy. So when you open it on your phone, you did not pull all the messages from Waku network because they are already gone, but it actually pulled the data from Codex, which is this Codex running somewhere in the cloud. Well, you can't upload to that Codex node because it's mine. I collect it. And the reason for Codex is extending persistency. So since Waku is ephemeral, we need to make sure that the Q&As stay around longer. So this node will keep the data for something like 30 days. So the Q&A should at least be around for 30 days. But there are issues. If you want to be fully decentralized, or if you want to use it to create a Q&A and leverage Codex, it's desktop only. And you need to run a full Codex node. So there is no way to like publish the Codex from the phone because you can't run Codex on your phone right now. But I think that's in the roadmap, and I'm hoping for that. But this is also only if you want to create and persist the Q&A. So ordinary user like you did right now do not need that. And what is the flow actually? So this is the Qaku React application, and this is the local Codex node. And let's assume this is an admin, right? So the Qaku communicates with the Waku network. So I have two Qaku instances. The messages will go over the Waku network. Every now and then, Qaku will execute a call to Codex. It will take all the events, all the messages that have been sent for the Q&A. It will put them in a JSON format, and it will store them in Codex. And it will publish special message saying, persist this, and it will have the CID. And this Qaku cache will see that and will do a pull from this Codex node, basically through the Codex network, and say, hey, I want to store it. Give me the data. It will store it. And then if you connect from your phone, there is a small, tiny API where you can say, hey, give me this CID because I think this is a snapshot of a Q&A that I want to upload. And then this node will give it to you. Or what you can do is you can run your Qaku on a desktop browser, run a Codex node, and configure that as a source of truth. And then it can go either this way or directly, depending on how Codex figures out the networking of things. So Qaku now has the two parts in it. So we have communication figured out with storage, and I still need to figure out how to put in a blockchain somehow, but I'm not sure if it's necessary, but I want to have a full-blown Web3 application. Maybe minting some NFTs, right? That's the way. Yeah. So you can check more information about Waku on Waku.org. Codex storage, I think that's been mentioned here a couple of times. Waku.app, if you want to use it, it's the URL. You can create your own Q&As and use it. It would be lovely if you give me feedback if you use it. We can also check whether someone posted anything interesting. So, which decentralized storage are you biggest fan of? We have 7 votes, and I think everyone loves Codex. That's great. Yeah, and we have you heard about Codex before this event? So 5 people said yes, and 1 said no, and there is some dispute. No, it's okay. Have you heard about Waku? Yes, mostly. And would permissionless and anonymous private Q&A be useful for you? Someone doesn't know. Who doesn't know? Like, it's obvious, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll talk about it. I'll convince you. Yeah. I think that's it. Yes, I think it works, which is surprising, but amazing as well. Send me your ETH. Okay. No, thank you. Your UI isn't that bad. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much. I'll get this printed and put it on the wall. Anyway, I had 3 minutes. I started late, so we can also just cut it short to get some time back. But if you want to ask questions, if we can ask questions, then I'll be happy to answer. Well,
first of all, you are using the blockchain, because if you're using Codex, then you're definitely using blockchain.
If I'm using Waku, I'm using RLN, which depends on blockchain as well, but it's transitive, and I would like to have it direct.
Fair enough. All right, so today we have like 3 minutes left for questions. If any questions? Any questions?
How would it work without blockchain fully decentralized? How would it work?
How would it work without proxy fully decentralized? So this is basically it. So I have another browser that is anonymous window, so I don't have any like historical information here. It's running localhost 3000, so I just did npm start. I can go here and I can take the Codex node and I can replace it, right? So this would be the API URL, and this is the local Codex node URL for the admin to push to, and this is to pull from. So if I just put the Codex node here, I did some magic there to make it work, so that it looks like the same thing from the perspective of the application. And if I just copy this here, the ID, it should load. And if it loads, maybe it will not, but maybe it will. If it loads, it means that it did not go through that centralized API. It went directly from that from the Codex node. But it's also, we are pushing it hard on this internet connection, and also my code is being pushed here. So it may work out. And yeah, it's like NASCAR. You don't go to NASCAR to watch cars go around. You go to see something crashed. So yeah, there we go. This is NASCAR. But hey. Yeah, so this is a fully decentralized way of like running locally the UI and running local Codex, pulling from local Codex. So the data actually went over the Codex network rather than through the API, which before that went over Codex network, but